Hey, Biker Trash here. Well, doing something different right now. I've had a couple requests, questions asking about building Gundams. And I'm by no means an expert, but if you ask me, I'll either tell you the right answer or make something up. So it's kind of a semi-quasi tutorial. We're going to go ahead and put this guy together, the RX-78-2 Gundam, the original Gundam. Okay, well, so inside the box, you have 3 trees on this one. You've got a gray tree, a multicolored tree that I like that the way that Bandai does that. Until I got into Gundams, I didn't know that it was possible to have more than one color on a tree. In fact, on my Double Zeta, there's a couple parts that have more than one color on a part. Like, imagine if this had the gold star molded into it. And a white tree. And of course, also, you can't forget, gotta have instructions. And there's usually very good full color pictures inside the instructions that help a lot whenever it comes time to paint these guys. Alright, so we've got the Gundam. We've got everything laid out nice and neat. We got a clean calendar to work on. So, what's the next thing we need? The next thing we need is some very simple tools. You don't need much. These things snap together. Usually you don't even need glue. But that'll be another video. What I like to use, most people use angled pliers. I just like these right here. They have the flat cutting surface across the front of them. And I just find that I can get into a lot of tighter areas with that. The next thing you need is a hobby knife. And be very careful with these, they are sharp, otherwise you would not be using them. Please don't use a dull one. And this is optional, but I like the results it gives. A little set of miniature files. In fact, with these, the hobby knife is almost not necessary. But I'll show you a little bit more of that. Now, once you've found number 29 right here, you're going to go ahead and cut it out. Using this. I don't want to hear about anybody out there cutting themselves trying to cut something off of a tree with this. You know how I know it happens? I've done it. I don't have the cut anymore, but I pretty much just cut from here down to here trying to pull a knife through it. Just use some pliers. It takes a little bit more time, but you're a lot better off. So anyway, you're just going to take and 3 little snips on this one, and it is free. Now, you end up with some little nubs right there. They're left over from cutting the tree off. 2 ways of handling this. 1, hobby knife. You just take it, and you don't want to get too aggressive with it because you have a tendency to cut into the part. Well, at least I do. So by just gently just shaving the piece off, the thing off, you end up with a nice clean surface. And actually, I wish I would have cut off a blue piece because this next part would show up a lot better. In fact, you know what, I'm just going to cut a blue piece off. Okay, so I went ahead and cut this blue piece off. And you see right there, we again have some little nubs left over from the tree. So if you take a hobby knife and shave it off, it's hard to tell on video, but there is some slight discoloration. Oop, too far. It's kind of hard to see, but you see right there, there's a slight discoloration to the plastic right above my fingernail. Now here's why I like the files. You can take and you don't shave it down, which no matter how sharp your knife is, it stresses the plastic whenever you're shaving it. But with the file, you can just go in there, and it takes a little bit longer, but the more time you spend prepping something, the better it's going to look afterwards. So what you do is you take your file and just very gently wear it down. And if you can see right there where I was working, there is almost no discoloration in this area right here. It's less of a big deal if you're going to paint. It's not as big a deal if you're going to paint the figure after, but if you plan on leaving some of the parts of the plastic raw, it pays off. You know, like I said, the more time you put into the details, the better it's going to look when you're done. One last little note until I move on and get some more of this thing built. I won't be showing y'all building the entire thing. This right here, if you see something marked with PC as a part number, that means it comes off the Polycap parts tree. And you want to be fairly careful with this. This is a very soft plastic, and this is the only parts I would actually say that you could cut out with the hobby knife, because it just cuts like butter. So be very careful that you do not damage these parts, because like I said, they are softer than the regular plastic, and will, if you have your knife set wrong and you start pulling on it, it'll just cut straight through it, almost no resistance. Well, it does resist, but if your knife is as sharp as it should be, it'll just glide right on through.